So today I want to talk about a few things that all creatives struggle with. And this could be if you're just beginning or if you're a professional, but you're finding yourself doing a lot of work that you don't want to do, or you're just not getting paid what you feel like you should be getting paid. So the first one is learning to say no. If a project doesn't speak to you, if it's not something you're excited to do, the answer should be no. If you're just beginning and you don't feel like you have that right yet, I'm here to tell you that you do. If you focus on the work that you want to do, you're gonna create better work. And believe it or not, when you say no to things, you're leaving yourself open for other things. Sometimes we're scared to say no because we don't know what other projects might come next. But what we'll find is if we say yes to everything, we're not gonna have time for the shit that we actually wanna do. So make sure you say no to things that just don't speak to you. And this could be, like I said, if you're a professional, it can be harder because you might feel like you need that money. But I promise you, if you can just hold on and just wait out those in between times when you might not be getting any work, right? You're gonna leave yourself more time to practice, and you're gonna leave yourself open for the projects that are meant for you. But if you're constantly doing shit you don't want to do, you're actually going to lose motivation. You're going to resent the work, and you're going to resent the client or whoever's asking you to do this. If you're just beginning, you can get stuck in this place where you're still learning your craft, you're still trying things out, and people are reaching out asking you to do shit for free. And if you're good at it, that can start to happen a lot. You really have to start to protect your time and protect your work. And if you don't do that, no one else is going to know any different. So you really have to define what you do and what you don't do, and be willing to say no if something isn't something you want to do. That applies to life as well. We waste so much time doing shit we don't want to do. And I stopped doing that a long time ago. And what happened is, just like with art projects, is it started to create space in my life for things that I did want. If you don't protect your time, if you don't protect your evenings, if you don't protect your mornings, then no one else will. So it's really important to do that. And so many people will say they don't have time for things. And a lot of times that's just because you're giving your time to too many things that aren't meant for you. Right? So if you're saying that you don't have time to work out, you don't have time to create things, I don't have time to read, I guarantee you there's shit you're saying yes to that you should say no to. And if you start saying no to them, you'll have the time for the things that you want or need to do. The next one is to ask more for your work. It happens all the time, especially when we're just starting out and just finding the courage or the confidence to call ourselves a professional. Is we're not asking enough for our work because we have a hard time putting the number value on it. There is equations out there. You can find them. You can find different things on Reddit or even in YouTube that will help you come up with an hourly rate or whatever it might be for whatever work that you do. There's some merit to that, but honestly, a lot of that is bullshit. Come up with a number that you truly feel comfortable for or comfortable with, and increase it. Increase it every time. Whatever number you just came up with that your hour is worth, increase it, because no one else is going to increase it for you, and no one's going to pay you more than you ask for, and no one's going to value your work more than you do. So you really have to come up with that number that you're comfortable with, that you're worth, and make sure you ask for it. You might be surprised at how that ends up working. You will have people that say no because of your price. But if you stick to it and you don't just, kind of fall apart when they say no, is they might realize that in order to get your work, which is the work that they actually want, they're gonna have to pay for it. I've honestly had people say no, go and get other quotes, and then come back to me and pay my number because I stuck to it, because I was confident with it. And when they realized that the other people who cost less weren't going to give them the product that I was going to give them. So you have to stand behind that number, and you have to be willing to stick to it. Now, what you can do is you can increase value, but don't ever decrease price. When you decrease your price, you open it up to make that person think that they can negotiate with you or that they can talk you down, and you can't let that happen. So if you have a number, you need to stick to that number. If for some reason they're not biting, you can add some value. You can make them understand that they might get more than they think that they're getting for what they're paying for, but don't drop your price. It's going to essentially it's going to set a lower floor for you. And that's not what you're trying to do. You have to learn how to stick to your guns and ask for the money. Otherwise, you're just never going to get it. And the next one is showing your work. Many times people just don't have any perspective on what it takes to create the work that we're talking about. So when you show your work, people start to see the process. They understand the skill behind it more. They understand that it's not just some shit that they can do themselves, right? And they might know that, which is why they're reaching out to you in the first place. But when they can see the process, they have a much better idea of the kinds of skills that you had to accumulate and the things that you had to learn in order to pull this off in the first place. And it kind of reminds people why they want your work. This is also what separates us from AI. So many people, so many artists are worried about how AI is going to impact their earning potential. And one thing that they can't do is show their work in this sense. So that's how we show that this stuff is human, right? If we show ourselves working on things, then it's undisputedly ours, right? And I really think that's going to become more and more important. It's already become really big in terms of reels and stuff like that, of people showing the work, because we like to see the process. But what I'm asking you to do is to double down on that. I'm learning to do it more myself. You need to learn to do it yourself. Because if you're not showing the work, then no one understands how you got to the finished product. And sure, I mean, it might be a beautiful finished product, but when people can understand how you got there, it's just worth more. And it's so much more fun. You'll help other people learn. You'll learn more yourself. And honestly, I find myself actually working more if I'm going to be recording it, because it's another task to do, of course, but I know that the only way for me to show my work is to get to work. So if I set up the camera, I'm going to put the work in. So don't be afraid to show your work and show things in between and unfinished. Sometimes it can be a pride thing, or it can feel vulnerable to show our work before it's finished, because we want people to see the best that we can do. And while I totally get it, there's so much more value of them being able to see the process and see how things get from A to B to C. So it really makes you look that much better. And as long as you can kind of turn your ear off to the comments and to the feedback that you might get and not necessarily want, then people will start to understand and see where you're taking something, and a lot of times be more impressed, more surprised, and feel a little bit closer to the piece themselves. So don't be afraid to show things in the middle and to show things in progress. We all learn more that way. And it's really just a good practice anyway. And it helps differentiate us real human artists from AI and shit. Another thing I want to talk about is blocks, creative blocks. We all deal with them. It doesn't matter what kind of creative work you do. This happens, I think, more often because there's so many ideas that you have in your mind that you want to get out, but you're just having a hard time choosing which one to work on first. So sometimes when I find myself here is I'll take myself out of my own head and I'll work on something completely different. A lot of times I'll literally just copy something that is like a piece of work that I admire, whether it's a sketch or something like that, and I'll kind of do my own version of it. And that's not work that I'm going to try to pass off as my own, but that's practice that I can help use to inspire other works. And that could be something in a new medium, or it could just be trying to master a shape or whatever it might be. But as long as I keep my hand moving and keep my hand active, there's a better chance that I'm going to unravel that block and start to free myself up a little bit to work on something else. I also generally have several different projects that I'm working on at once, because I might hit a wall with a certain project, but if I move to something else that might be a completely different medium, then sometimes even just a different brushstroke that I do, or a different motion, or a different shape that I'm able to do in this other piece might just kind of turn on a light bulb over here and show me where I was, what I was missing, or what direction I need to go on the piece that I got blocked on. And when I say copy, I don't mean like to literally copy someone else's work. I guess I mean there's no original ideas anymore anyway. Everything's been done at some point. And artist theft in the first place, that's how people learn throughout the centuries, is by copying what other people were doing. So you can give two different artists the same exact materials, or two different chefs the same exact ingredients, and they're going to make two different dishes, right? Even if they're trying to make the same thing, each is going to be inherently their own. So don't be afraid to do that. Just don't try to pass something that's somebody else's shit off as your own. Basically, just do whatever it takes to keep the action going, whether it's working on something that is something that inspires you, or just finding a different piece of your own to work on. Just keep working and you'll find yourself working through that block. Really, I think so many times it's because there's so much shit that's in our head and we have a hard time shutting that down. I find that when I'm working on something, any kind of piece, it doesn't matter if it's a sketch or an oil painting or what have you, that's when my brain starts to turn off, and I can really kind of by default, I start to understand what I want to do next in the first place. It can really kind of quiet things down so you can really start to home in on what direction you want to go. And that brings me to risking more. And what I mean by that is stop trying to make shit that other people like. Make things because you want them to exist in the world. When we're trying to make shit that other people like, we're trying to hit invisible targets, and it rarely works. We might make some things that people will clap for a little bit, or they'll hit the like icon, but it's not going to be something that generally like really resonates deeply with people, because ultimately you're taking all of this, we'll call it inspiration for lack of a better word, but you're taking all this direction from external, from outside of you, and trying to make something original out of it and give it back to the world, when in reality the idea is through your own lived existence, the things that stick out to you are the things that mean something to you. And if they mean something to you personally, they're going to mean something to somebody else without you trying to figure out what's going to mean something to anyone else. So if you create the things within inside you that you want to exist, the chances are that somebody else feels that same way or likes that same thing. They just haven't seen it before. But if you're trying to create shit that everyone's seen before, it's really just not going to hit the same. So my challenge to you is to create some shit that you don't think anyone else is going to like. Just do that. Create it for yourself first, regardless of what anybody else wants or is asking for. We didn't know we wanted iPhones. We didn't know we wanted that. They made the shit because they knew it needed to exist, right? So you're never going to create your best work if you're just trying to make stuff that other people like. The whole point is that you are a unique person with a unique life and a unique gift, and the work that you create, that you bring into the world, should be uniquely you. So stop trying to make shit that people like and make shit that you like. And that's going to become what other people look to you for, because you're the only one that can do that. And to that last point, I've come to the conclusion that what I really want to exist in the world, as far as the podcast is concerned, is a space to create. And that's the new title. So as an artist myself, I learned so much by spending time in other artists' studios and spaces and chefs' kitchens and other places. And I had some of the best conversations of my life in these places. And so that's the direction I really felt like this was going anyway. A lot of my interviews so far have been with other creatives because that's what most of my network is. And I really just felt like it started to feel like this is what I wanted to make in the first place. The point is that I do want to help people live better lives, and I want to help people transform themselves in certain ways. And I think a lot of that is going to come out in the stories of these creatives by default, rather than really trying to create like a personal development podcast. So there's me being a little vulnerable as well, and just kind of explaining my process and showing my work. So this is how things work. So Ashes to Architects has been fun. And I don't feel bad about anything that I created under that moniker, but I just feel like this is the direction that things were kind of headed, and I wouldn't have ended up here if I hadn't have started that in the first place. So as creatives, we try things and we iterate and we try something else, and we allow the work to become what it wants to be as well. And that's something that it can take a little time to work out, is that when we try to force something into a box, a lot of times we'll end up creating the wrong thing. We have to find the relationship between us and the work that we're trying to create, and understand that the work that we're creating is coming through us. It's not necessarily from us in the first place. So when we're trying to beat something into submission, we're really doing the wrong thing. When we can release a little bit and step back a little bit and really look at things from a different perspective or from a broader lens, then we can give ourselves the permission to make some changes and to be more open to letting things just become what they're going to become. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm stretching myself by doing this because I'm trying new things, and I'm willing to fail, I guess, if you even want to call it that, but willing to understand that something isn't what I wanted it to be, and really just being quiet enough to see the direction that they should actually be going. So I appreciate everyone that's been rocking with me so far. The next interviews are coming soon. We'll probably be switching to a bi-weekly model, just because I do want to focus on really good quality for you guys and really interesting interviews. So look for Space to Create. That will be dropping very soon. I will keep you guys updated, but thank you very much.